Hey guys, Jammer Red Panda Man here, and today we are going to be making a basic obby. So the first thing you're going to want to do is delete the base plate, so that when the player falls, they will die and respawn. So if you go over here into Workspace and click the base plate, because you can't just select it with your mouse, and right click on it, and then click delete. And now there's no base plate. So now make a part, and this is going to be where your obby starts. So we can make it a little bigger. There, that's good. Now we want our player to spawn on this platform. So let's make a spawn. So go over to model and spawn. Let's move it to generally the center. Okay, that's about the center. And then we can make some colors. So let's make this green. And let's make the spawn blue. Yeah. So, and then we need our first jump. So make another part. And it doesn't really matter what size this is. Just make sure that the player can jump onto it. I'm just going to make some basic jumps. Okay. Now make sure everything is anchored before you test this, because if it wasn't, it would just fall. And if you want to test, you can click up here. So then I can test it, and yes, I can make that jump. So now let's make this a color. Let's do red. And then you can duplicate it by either right-clicking and clicking duplicate, or holding Control and then pressing D, and then moving it. And I'm going to do that for a little bit. You can make it go to the side a little bit if you wanted. Okay, I think that's about good. So now we can test it and make sure that all the jumps are possible. And it looks like they are. So that stage is good. Now I'm not going to be doing checkpoints because checkpoints is quite complicated. For beginners, we're just going to be making a simple obby with no checkpoints. But you can simulate checkpoints by having platforms between stages, like this. Okay, now let's make this green like the first one. So that is our first stage. Now this was a really basic obby stage. Now we're going to be making something a little bit more creative. If you click this arrow below the part button, you can choose between a block, sphere, wedge, or a cylinder. Let's make some sphere jumps. So we can scale the sphere to make it a little bigger. Okay, and then let's make this color purple. Yeah. We can make it go up a little bit. Let's do a couple more. Now I'm using Control plus D to duplicate these. It doesn't really matter if you use Control D or the right click and duplicate. It's just easier to do Control D because it's quicker. And now let's make a third platform before the next stage. Okay, now let's make sure all these jumps are possible. Now remember, anchor everything. That's what I'm doing now. And let's give this platform some color. Okay, and then we can test it. Okay, so this is the first stage, and the first stage is possible. Now let's try this stage. And this stage is good also. So now we can create another stage. This stage, let's use wedges. Now wedges can be used as ramps in an obby. So let's make some ramps. Let's pick a color, brown. Now I'm going to make these a little bit harder jumps. And what you can do with these wedges is you can make them really skinny to make it harder for the player to stay on there or aim their jump correctly. I'm going to anchor these. Now let's make this one really skinny. And then we can make our final platform, and then we can move on from the obby. You can make this platform a little bigger if it's going to be the final one. Let's make sure it's anchored, and then we can test it again. Now, a thing that you can do is if I wanted to just test this stage and not have to spawn over here, I can move my camera over to this platform, and then instead of clicking play, go to test, click the little arrow under play, and then play here, and that will basically spawn you where your camera is. So as you can see, I'm on the platform instead of all the way back there at the spawn. So let's test this. Now the hard one. Now that time I fell. And as you see, if you fall, you hit the void and you will respawn. And I respawn all the way back here, so let me get to the last stage so we can test it to make sure that it is possible. And we made it. So this obby is possible and really fun to make. I hope you enjoy making obbies. This has been Jammin' Red Panda Man. Bye.